How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, it's going to be a long video, just letting y'all know. And I have a number of videos to show y'all. I have something I'm going to read today. And also, as we go on this journey, I'm going to go into the spiritual aspects of coronavirus and the numbers that I'm picking up on what I see around coronavirus, which I've been seeing often. And anybody that pay attention to numbers, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And so I'm going to show the royal family biblically on what's going on. Also, it is absolutely deep and astounding to me. So I was thinking, since Biden, we know, is the president, that we're being sold false hope on many, many levels. It is alarming what is going on globally, let alone in America, in regards to coronavirus. And so I know some people may, and let's just touch on feelings, just keep it straight there. I felt the energy the other day when Biden was putting his cabinet together, and the energy that I felt was energy of like comforted. You know, it's like, because I'm not going to deny what I feel, and I know what I know. And so when I felt that, I said, that's false. I was telling my husband last night, I said, I actually felt that type of energy where it shows you how the devil can be quite deceiving, where you'll have a feeling of false hope. So being an empath, like many of us, we have to, be honest with ourselves internally. You don't have to tell people, okay, why am I feeling this sense of comfort knowing Biden's record and Kamala's record? So I know that their ultimate goal is to keep us distracted, just like Trump, but try to nurse us back to sleep. And I will be doing another video later also about what specifically Biden and Kamala is going to do for the unquote African American community, the very ones that voted them in office. And I know some of y'all probably didn't look over that, but anyway, back to that feeling. It's like, I have even seen titles like, wow, it's over, free at last. And yeah, I have to admit that Trump being the president, it felt extremely chaotic. I mean, I'm not surprised this dude ain't dropped dead, because he keeps drama going on literally around the clock. Even when I did research a few years ago when he was a child, he was so disruptive in his household, they had to get him out of there. So, having that feeling of a great deal of chaos and all of that, and I mean, everything was hyper extended when he was in office, and then you get this major shift in energy where now you're feeling comforted and assured, knowing that we at our fingertips we can pull up again Biden and Harris records and how they have scored with us in our communities. I grade them a total incomplete. So it's like you have to detach yourself when you catch yourself feeling, whoa, I'm feeling comforted. And I rejected it. It pissed me off that I felt like that, knowing what I know. So I just wanted to put that out. So anyhow, I'm always pondering and thinking about things, and I'm like, there's certain things that's not being told about this vaccine. Now, as I was researching, the Moderna company said they developed that vaccine in 2 days. I don't know how true it is, but I did just read that, and I should have put that up, but yeah, just take my word for it on that one. If I can find that article, I will definitely pin it so y'all can read it yourself and stuff. It gets kind of clutterly when you're researching, because a lot of stuff we leave out because we're just trying to give y'all, like I say, the juicy parts of things. But I'm like, what's not being told? They're going to try to make it look like it's so, the side effects ain't so bad, and people are in this state where, constantly we're being fed fear. And really what this all has to do with is irresponsible adults, mainly Esau. Because like this one white woman said a few weeks ago on CNN, she said, it is criminal what is going on. Yes, it is. To be that type of defiant, to be that reckless and careless and not give a damn about at least your immediate situation, let alone, you people are walking around with it knowingly and hoping that they can give it to someone. Truly, that's what's going down. So, y'all remember when we first found out about coronavirus? I had did a video where this white woman was the first to be vaccinated and be on this trial, Jennifer Heller. Now I want y'all to pay attention to language when I play this video. But let me just read what I read. Jennifer Heller said she felt privilege to be able to volunteer for something that could help save lives. She don't mean that. She felt privilege. Don't lose sight of what I said, my royal family. There's people new to the true royal family and true royal. What the Creator told me about Esau's woman, that she would be the first to get his wrath. And she feels privilege. There are some things that she is going to say in this video I'm about to play, and you'll pick up on the other parts of it. Oops.
First coronavirus vaccine. It went to a volunteer that you see right here, 43-year-old Jennifer Haller, who is from Seattle. That's one of the hardest hit areas for this virus in the nation, Washington State, with over 840 cases. It's a fast-moving story, and she joins us right now, the very first coronavirus vaccine volunteer, Jennifer Haller, and back with us for a medical perspective, Anne Rimion, an epidemiologist at UCLA. Jennifer, thank you for what you're doing. Obviously, this fits into a lot of the different ways people are participating and trying to help around the nation. And thank you for being willing to talk with us.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so excited to be the first person. This is crazy.
Yeah, right. Crazy is one word for it. I think it's got to have a lot of different feelings for you. Very straightforward. I'd love for you to just tell us, as they say in your own words, how did this come about, and walk us through what happened today.
Yeah, just a couple of weeks ago, there was a call for volunteers, and filled out a form and got a call back, and went through the phone screen, past that, went in person for a physical exam, blood draw. Everything looked good there, and here we are. I went in this morning at 8 a.m. and got the first dose. There it is. I am, we feel, all of us, I know we feel so helpless. Like, what can we do? And I am so excited that there was actually something that I could do, and I did it, and I'm doing it, and I am so proud of myself, and so thankful for the privilege that I have that allows me to do this. I'm healthy. I have a full-time salaried job. My company is flexible. They allow me to take time off to do this. I've supported friends and family. My real concern is for the people that have hourly jobs, that lives are going to be severely impacted coming up soon.
Based on what you're learning and what you're participating in, where does this process go from here?
I do a daily log, temperature and any side effects that I'm feeling. I keep track of those. I, of course, call in if I have any issues. Do a phone call tomorrow, phone call the next day. I'll do weekly follow-ups, and then I'll get a second dose of the vaccine in, I think, about 4 weeks. And then I'll be followed through about 14 months through the study.
And did the folks involved in this tell you about any potential risks? Obviously, this is, to put it simply, hopefully a good thing, and you're participating in it. But you can imagine some people at home wondering, oh my gosh, everyone's nervous about all sorts of things right now. How were you walked through the risk? How do you see that?
Yeah, a really important thing to understand that's really helped a lot of friends and family who were concerned is that this vaccine uses messenger RNA, so it does not use any of the virus. So at no point during the study will you be exposed to the virus. So that's awesome. Regular potential side effects from a vaccine. Totally up for those. And then, of course, there's the absolute unknown, right? This one has never been tested in a human, and I'm up for it. I'm ready.
And if they do have a breakthrough here, would you be really excited to be a part of demonstrating that? I mean, there's so much of this story that's been so hard on people. It would seem this would be an opportunity, potentially. I don't want to get ahead of, obviously, the test run, but would you be excited if it works out?
Well, I mean, of course, yeah. I mean, the chance that I could have something to do with helping save lives is huge. And, if this isn't the right vaccine or whatever, I mean, at least, I'm part of the process. We're part of, figuring this out and getting closer to something to help everybody.
Yeah. Fantastic. Stay with me. As mentioned, we're getting this very newsworthy perspective from you as Americans and people around the country and the world are wondering about the race for a cure or a vaccine. As mentioned, I have Dr. Lemoyne here. What do you think it's important that people understand about these types of tests?
So in terms of the vaccine that we're discussing right now, vaccines will take a while to be able to move forward and to be able to go through all the safety testing. There are a lot of regulatory aspects here, and what this woman is doing right now, which is really wonderful, is participating in a vaccine trial. In terms of tests, there are several tests that are coming online, and the more that we can get screening going rapidly, disseminated everywhere, the better we are, and the more that we'll understand what we have in this country in terms of burden of infection. That will help dictate where policy goes.
And again, following up to you, everyone wants to know about timelines. How quickly do you think we could learn about whether a given vaccine or a given experimental cure could be workable and then distributed?
It really, there are several steps, regulatory steps that have to happen, and this is to protect people, to make sure that there are no side effects, that the safety data is really straight, is very good. And once we have those data, then it can move forward into the next step. But there are always several regulatory steps that protect everyone, so that when a vaccine is available to the public, it will we'll know that it works well. And we still do believe that this will take at least a year or so to be able to be available to the public. So right now, all of the measures that we're talking about, we can't be putting our hopes into a vaccine. We need to be putting our energy into social distancing, to making sure that hospitals are not overloaded, and that everybody does their part to be able to slow the spread of this virus.
Really great points about the difference between a panacea or hoping for this to all just be worked out versus all the things we've been covering that people still have to do. Jennifer, final question. What do your friends and family say? What are you telling them?
Some are wary about it, but no, it is amazing, the outpouring of support and love that I've received from friends and family, and I've had messages from strangers on Facebook thanking me, and it's so, I'm just so thankful that I get to be part of this.
Fantastic. I think it's great what you're doing. I appreciate you not only doing it, but taking time to share something that...
All right, enough is enough. They're wearing me out. So, I got us up to speed. Just to let you know, when they did this, when he did this interview, it was actually she had the test done on March 16th, and they were interviewed the very next day, March 17th. And this is extremely crucial to me because I had my spiritual experience. It started on March 17th, and I know what the number 16 mean in the word means love, and I say it constantly what 17 mean in the word, overcoming the enemy and a complete victory. All right, so let's get into, and I also want to let y'all know I do have a bonus video too as well. But you know what I should do? Let me read this article real quick. So this is what I'm getting ready to read to you. This is what the doctors have said, are being told by the that they are a part of they work for the CDC. So coronavirus 19, and I'm gonna pull up what 19 means too around this. It's deep. Anyhow, the vaccine won't be a walk in the park, doctors say. A group of doctors have urged public health officials and doctors to be clear with patients about the vaccine. It won't necessarily be an easy experience. A group of doctors met with the CDC in Prevention Monday to discuss distributing of the coronavirus vaccine. Now, I can't pronounce this doctor's last name, but her name is Sarah of the American Medical Association. She said she's worried patients will not want to come back to her for another COVID-19 vaccine dose because the first dose of the vaccine will be unpleasant. 2 doses will be required from Moderna and Pfizer vaccines. We really need to make patients aware that this is not going to be a walk in the park, Dr. Sarah said. According to CNBC, they are going to know they had a vaccine. They are probably not going to feel wonderful, but they got to come back for the second dose. Oh, this is insane. Moderna and Pfizer said the coronavirus vaccine could induce side effects that come with the mild COVID-19, like muscle pains, chills, and headaches. So anyhow, it said here, some symptoms may include high fever, body aches, bad headaches, and exhaustion. And when I did my deeper research, a lot of these people even had to take off of work. I never heard anybody get a vaccine and had to take off of work. These are the things that, again, because y'all see where I started right here, what they're not going to tell you. It's just how they get down and all of that. So I got that out the way. Let's continue on.
This is a historic day. An historic day for science and for all of us.
Albert Bourla is CEO of Pfizer, and he's talking about their vaccine for COVID-19. 248 days from an idea to now, applying for the vaccine to be authorized. That's just 8 months. For context, 8 years would have been considered speedy. But the truth is, the story I'm about to tell you actually began more than 2 decades ago. And to really understand it, you first have to understand how most vaccines work. Since the first vaccine for smallpox back in 1796, they've all relied on the same basic concept. Give a little piece of the virus, also known as antigen, to someone, not enough to make them sick, and their body will then be taught to make antibodies to it. Those are the proteins that neutralize the virus if it ever tried to invade again. That's what makes you immune. But what if the body could be taught to do the whole thing? Not just make antibodies, but also to make the antigens as well, to essentially become its own vaccine-making machine. It's why in the 2000s, Dr. Drew Weissman started focusing on this tiny strand of genetic material that our cells make all the time. It's known as mRNA.
Back then, we were thinking of using it for vaccines, for therapeutic proteins, for gene editing, for lots of different applications.
mRNA stands for messenger RNA. It carries the instructions for making whatever protein you want.
Once you've got the sequence, it's a one-step reaction to make RNA. And that reaction is identical for every vaccine that we make.
If this sounds more like code in a computer rather than medicine from a lab, that means you're getting it. This is an entirely new way of thinking about vaccines. It's also the basic technology behind Pfizer and Moderna's COVID-19 vaccines.
Vaccines are close by. They're coming. You know, I said help is on the way.
It's truly bio meets tech. The vaccine is not the virus at all. It's essentially just a genetic code for a portion of the virus. This portion, the spike protein. Why the spike protein? Because it's the key the virus uses to enter the human cell. But if you create antibodies to the spike protein, it's then blocked. So putting it all together, once the vaccine, made up of genetic code, is administered through a shot in the arm, our own cells then start making the spike protein over and over again. Now remember, you're just making a part of the virus, so you can't get infected from this vaccine. And within days after that, the body reacts and starts churning out the antibodies. Plug and play.
With RNA, all you need is the sequence of the protein of interest. Within weeks, you can have a new vaccine.
It's a technology that could help lead us out of this pandemic.
We're going to get a heck of a lot of help from a very efficacious vaccine. 2 vaccines that just 2 weeks ago and this past week were shown to be extremely effective, efficacious in 95% and 94.5%.
If true, remarkable results for an entirely new type of vaccine and also a new way of thinking about medicines going forward.
All right, my royal family. The many lies these people tell, it's not shocking at all. Okay, let's get into this. I want us to continue to, before I get started, keep on your frontal lobe that they said even 8 years would have been deemed fast for a vaccine to be developed. And one of the vaccines, Moderna, like I said, I read an article where that vaccine was developed in 2 days. Now, when coronavirus first came out, because I'll be honest with you, I didn't know how long it took to so-called perfect a vaccine. They said given 15 to 20 years. And then something Lisa said about they talking about in the high 90 percentiles how effective this is. Yeah, when you're doing a trial that you can contain, those are the numbers that they're getting in that trial. And the other part that stood out to me when she said, well, the flu vaccine been out for eons and it's in the 50 percentiles of effectiveness. Now, we just watched this video. Basically, they're trying to say, like, they're not giving it to you, which don't make any sense. Basically, what they're doing, what they're getting ready to do, and it's going to be a lot of people willing, is literally experiment on people. We're just going to right now just focus on America. It's like, y'all, they don't know what's going to happen. They want you to take these 2 shots, and they got serious, crummy side effects that they're not going to tell us. That's why it's really important to have bloggers that are willing to, go that extra mile and say what's really going on, and then read in between the lines. And we are excellent at reading in between the lines, given all the atrocious things that continue to happen to us in this dying system. But it's affecting everyone now. So let me take this one down. I don't want anything to pop up later and play this next. Oh yeah. Let me blow this up. I'll get to that the next video in a bit. So William Barr and his folks, when they had that first shutdown, when the coronavirus came out, this is how they viewed having to be at home with their family and everything. And these people, it shows you, even during these holidays, how they truly think. They don't think like us overall. And we got some of our folks out there being defiant and doing what they want to do, or felt so enamored to be in Esau's world, they feel equal to him and all of that type of stuff. So we get the whole gamut. But what's going to continue to stand out is how Esau react to these things. Well, what a lot of them don't know is they are mocking the Creator. And let me get into coronavirus 19. So I wanted to know what was the number 19 saying in the word around coronavirus. So let me read this to y'all. The number 19, which is combined of 10 and 9, usually denotes Yah's perfect order in regard to his judgment in the Bible. The names Job and Eve, if you substitute the letters from numbers, basically it adds up to 19. What does the number 19 mean in relations to Israel? The United Kingdom split into two pieces after the death of Solomon. The piece referred to as Israel, or the northern 10 tribes, and Cherubim as the first king, Judah the first king of Rehoboam. Including Cherubim, Israel was ruled by 19 kings before Yah allowed them to conquer the Assyrians. They were conquered and taken out of the land as captives due to their many sins against the Eternal. When I read that a long time ago, it knocked me down. And it's still knocking me down reading this. I'm telling y'all, my royal family, our Father literally leave messages in titles. Some people do know the number that they were assigned. I had to go through a spiritual experience to even realize it. And y'all know the number that I bring up, and it's a number of us that see that number 17 frequently. So that's just really deep to me, because we are out of our captivity and they're going into their captivity. They were conquered and taken out of the land as captives due to their many sins against the Eternal. I mean, we here in Babylon. What do Esau do? They sin every millisecond, And I know many of us Hebrews know about when Israel, or the 10 tribes, when the separation came and all of that. And we're going to continue to get these type of separations and, these prophecies, like Big Judah said, they literally flying off of the pages of the word. It is literally incredible, the things that we are encountering in these unquote last days. But let's not lose sight. It is the enemy's last days. All right. We're out of our captivity. And I always say, we know the ending of their story and we know the beginning of ours and everything. So this really stood out to me. If I can remember, I will pin this link here, because you can look up spiritually what your number mean. And if you go deeper into this website, they'll tell you, like, if, say you'll have a butterfly around you constantly, it'll tell you what that mean biblically. It also tell you biblically what colors mean. This is a really amazing website, and I like that they just refer to the word in the word only. So anyhow, let's continue on. COVID-19 vaccine studies may suffer as volunteers consider dropping out. Yeah, all right. Okay, so this article was put up today, November 27th. Okay, let's get into it.
Clinical trials for COVID-19 vaccines are nearing the final stretch. But health experts say vaccines are just one piece of a larger puzzle in fighting the deadly disease and getting us back to normal. The other big piece are effective treatments for those who are already sick.
Not everybody mounts a good immune response. In particular, immunosuppressed patients are well known to not to respond well to vaccines. So we are going to need to have therapies for those who are not vaccinated and for those who don't make a good immune response.
Right now, there are three main categories of COVID-19 treatments: antibody therapies, immunomodulators, and antivirals. Antibody therapies leverage antibodies, like these, that the body naturally produces after recovering from a disease. To ward off infection, they attach to proteins on the virus's surface. That prevents it from infiltrating cells. Different types of antibodies target different parts of the virus. They circulate in the yellowish liquid part of blood known as plasma. That's where the treatment comes in.
You can take that liquid and give it to a person who's sick or to prevent disease. So it is the transfer of immunity from a person who's made it to a person who's susceptible.
When given to sick patients, convalescent plasma can potentially boost a person's immune response to the virus, but just for a few weeks.
We always pull it out during a pandemic. We did this for 2009 H1N1. Obviously, for things such as Ebola virus disease in Africa.
Because it's relatively easy to produce compared to vaccines and other drugs, experts think it could possibly be used both as a treatment and as a preventative medicine against COVID-19.
It's based on the same principle of if you have a protective antibody, passive transfer of that could provide not only protection prophylactically, but also treatment.
Plasma is widely thought to be safe, and in August, the FDA authorized using it to treat patients hospitalized with COVID-19. But its effectiveness is still being studied.
Convalescent plasma is a little bit of it's a mixed bag. We don't actually know the titers of the patients who have survived and done well after COVID.
Titers are a measurement of how many antibodies are in a person's blood. Typically, the more antibodies a person has, the better chance they have at fighting an infection. This means that not all plasma is created equal. The amount and quality of antibodies it contains can vary. That impacts how effective the treatment can be.
So what you're getting with convalescent plasma right now is a bit of an unknown.
To overcome this, scientists use plasma as a blueprint to build a more potent drug known as monoclonal antibodies. They do this by homing in on specific antibodies that do the best job in stopping the virus.
We screened this huge panel of antibodies through many in vitro assays to select the best antibodies that block the ability of the virus to get inside cells and infect them.
Once they're identified, scientists can mass produce them in facilities that resemble breweries and pack them into drugs that act as a targeted attack against the virus.
You're growing these cells in bioreactors, which are huge steel tanks, and then as the cells grow, they are pumping out an antibody. You are concentrating that, and in purified form, this is what you are administering to patients.
Both Regeneron and competitor Eli Lilly have been racing to bring monoclonal antibody drugs to market for COVID-19. The companies are testing drugs that contain one or two types of antibodies, and researchers say they could have benefits over plasma-based treatments.
Monoclonal antibody preparations are consistent. They are consistent from patient to patient. They can be standardized, and they are hopefully easier to use than plasma because of this property.
Each of the companies has released encouraging data from early-stage clinical trials showing their drugs help reduce coronavirus levels and improved symptoms in non-hospitalized patients. But both drug makers had to pause their studies in hospitalized patients. And the Lilly study was halted in this patient population altogether because they didn't see a benefit. Early data among less severe patients, though, looks promising for both drugs. In October, President Trump was given Regeneron's antibody cocktail as part of his COVID-19 treatment. The president said the drug was key to his recovery, but it's unclear how beneficial the drug actually was.
I just want to say we have Regeneron, we have a very similar drug from Eli Lilly, and they're coming out, and we're trying to get them on an emergency basis.
Both Regeneron and Lilly have received authorization for emergency use of their drugs in non-hospitalized patients, filling a gap in treatment.
We have committed to manufacturing about 300,000 doses of these antibodies by the end of this year. And we have also partnered with Roche so that we can scale up and produce about 2 million doses of these antibodies to be available annually for worldwide use.
But physicians have expressed concerns about these new drugs.
This isn't the type of drug that is always able to be scaled, that can be made available to everyone rapidly, and also is a low cost.
Experts say both plasma and monoclonal antibody treatments could help not just COVID-19 patients, but also help prevent infection in healthy people. To treat patients, doctors have also been using immunomodulators. These drugs suppress the immune system and ensuing inflammation in the sickest of COVID-19 patients. That's important because this inflammation can be deadly. One of those drugs is the steroid dexamethasone. Researchers have found that it improved survival when given to severely ill patients. The other treatment being used to fight COVID-19 is the antiviral drug remdesivir. This was another drug the president was given at Walter Reed Hospital.
So we really try to give remdesivir as soon as somebody may be admitted to the hospital. We want to give it as early as possible. We know from Tamiflu and the flu and all those kind of different drugs that giving antivirals sooner rather than later is really important.
Here's how it stops the coronavirus. When a virus infects a cell, it uses the cell's machinery to build more viruses. It does that by making copies of its RNA. That's the genetic material that contains instructions for replication. Remdesivir is designed to infiltrate these instructions by inserting itself into copies of the virus's genetic code. This interrupts the replication process and acts as a kill switch for the virus. Promising clinical trials led to the drug being approved for emergency use in May. But more recent studies have produced conflicting results about its ability to speed up recovery and curb death in COVID-19 patients. The Department of Health and Human Services allowed drug maker Gilead to market the drug directly to hospitals in October, and the CEO said he was confident in being able to deliver the drug to the patients who need it.
We now have enough supply of this medicine for patients in the United States and globally by the end of this month.
There's been tremendous progress in treating COVID-19, but health experts caution that there is still more work to be done to see just how effective these treatments are. And to save lives, doctors will need a multitude of drugs at their disposal.
I think that we're going to see many more therapeutics come out by the end of this pandemic, and so that people that enter the hospital will at least receive one specific COVID-19 treatment for their disease.
Experts say these three types of treatments are promising, and they are hopeful that therapeutic drugs combined with a vaccine may finally put up an effective defense against the pandemic.
All right, my royal family. I thought that was necessary for us to see about these other vaccines out here that they are developing. And you know what I was thinking about as I was watching that video? What hit me as I'm visually looking at them in the lab and doing what they're doing, essentially what the enemy is thinking is, we will infect, if they could, the entire United States. Think about how evil thinking and dangerous what I'm saying. So their conclusion is, let's try to get as many of them sick as possible, and then I'm being specific with the I, speaking of the enemy, can freely go back, which they ain't never stopped, doing the shit in the dirt that they can continue to do. They want to be able to roam the streets of America at will. And the separation is here. The separation is going to stay. They will not be able to cure this. They can't cure even again and again and again the common cold, let alone the flu. All right? They have not eradicated any diseases. There's been a cure for cancer damn near 40 plus years. I have the book on it. And what's amazing about our Father is there is a supplement that you can take, the very things that our Father presented here on earth. But see, so many of us have been affected by the system that we start even thinking like Esau and say, well, I'll just take the shot or I'll take the pill, and then bam, it just goes away clearly. our diseases literally start in our kitchen. You know, let's say, you know, it's a given you're supposed to be diabetic, high blood pressure, and all these different type of things at a certain age. And it's all about what you internally put in your body. And I'm not saying this in regards of COVID-19, but just something to think about. So what I'm reading is one thing, but they're not going to just say it outright. So it'd be interesting to see people essentially just being guinea pigs because they are in a state of fear. Now, I know for a fact, and I'm going to stay coded on it, but just put it this way. The very things that I know that you can take, I have known of 3 people that had it, took what was suggested to take, and they don't have it no more, and they don't have no side effects. That's a guarantee. And they're doing fine. They're doing fine. So the issues that the royal family have with the medical industry is, and continue to have, we're fearful of the medical industry. They have killed us. We know the experiments they have done on our kings and our queens and our royals, you know. And then you just want us to just arbitrarily just pull up our sleeve and give a shot. And then you even got some folks out here talking about, well, they're going to demand that we get it. No, you don't have to take it. You don't have to take it. It's your individual choice. Now, yeah, they're going to have the military and the reserves and all of them out there distributing it as much as they can. But essentially, there's going to be a large portion of people, because they don't know what's going to happen. You think about this. Within months, let alone days, they didn't develop a so-called vaccine, but they still don't know. But they know about them damn side effects that ain't not going to tell you. So the bonus video will speak for itself. Let me see here. I got this damn commercial. Let's get this out the way. Can't stand these damn things.
And the answers we almost never expect.
Oops, sorry, I blundered. Get this crap off of here.
Protect you against the coronavirus. There's growing evidence that supports a connection between the two.
And to explain the very latest research, we're joined by Dr. Anthony Cardillo, CEO of Mend Urgent Care, an ER physician. Thanks so much for joining us again. So tell us about the research that shows why vitamin D levels may be linked to a person's risk of COVID-19.
Well, vitamin D is a phenomenal molecule in our body. It's actually a pro-hormone, goes through synthesis in the skin, that goes to the liver, the kidney. It becomes a molecule called calcitriol. And we have receptors all over our body. Almost every cell in our body has a receptor for this calcitriol, particularly the immune system. And so we've known for a long time through independent cell research that vitamin D does boost and modulate the immune system, as well as the other stuff we know about cardiovascular, as well as bone health. And so studies were coming out of China early on when people were getting sick in the hospital. And they started realizing that people that were the sickest in the hospital and had the longest duration of illness had the lowest levels of vitamin D. And these were retrospective observational studies that were done looking at the population in China that had gotten infected. So based upon that, they looked at a lot of patients and realized that those that were the sickest had the lowest vitamin D levels. Now, it could also mean that people that are sick in general have low vitamin D levels, but nevertheless, it's an important piece of information demonstrating there's another molecule that we probably should be supplementing with to decrease our risk overall. So that's where the data was coming from these observational studies. There is a randomized clinical trial going on right now at Harvard to look at this to see actually is there a difference. But this is the data coming out from China right now.
Well, you got our attention, so I guess the million-dollar question is, how do we boost our vitamin D level if it's low?
Well, the first is sunshine. And so being out and about in the sun will definitely cause your skin to synthesize vitamin D. Now, again, that doesn't mean you go out and about and you are close to people, right, you're still maintaining your social distance, maybe in your backyard or walking down the street, but sunshine is the best way to get vitamin D levels elevated. Obviously, in lieu of that, you can ingest vitamin D through your meals. So fortified milks, fortified cereals are good sources of vitamin D. We know that fatty fish also good sources. Vitamin D2 comes from sun-dried mushrooms. So there are some dietary sources. We also know that supplementation is important. 1,000 to 2,000 international units of vitamin D supplementation would be wise right now during this pandemic. That would certainly be important. Remember, however, vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. We don't excrete the excess, so you can have an overdose. So be cautious and mindful. Only do recommended daily allowance.
Okay, good advice there. Well, as more people resume regular doctor appointments, either in person or through telemedicine, some say they're a little bit concerned about going to a lab to get blood tests. What's your advice to them?
Certainly, that's a legitimate concern, and you want to be going to a lab that is being very mindful about how they are organizing their lab, meaning that they have restrictions in place for how many people can be in the lab at the same time. They have protocols in place with cleaning and making sure that the lab is sanitized properly. We know that Quest and LabCorp, the two largest in America, are doing a great job with that. I don't think people at this point should be fearful of going to their doctor's offices or labs to get any medical procedures done. The medical establishment is on top of this, ensuring your safety. So I think not getting your blood draw is actually more dangerous right now than going into a lab draw station. So I think everyone has to have confidence that we are on top of this throughout our county right now. And so just be mindful of that.
Yeah.
Now, isn't that ironic? He said, get plenty of sun. Essentially, just sun gaze. And the spiritual part of that is so deep to me, is that Esau looks at the sun as the enemy. If they could eliminate the sun, they would. So they got to stay in more. And then on top of that, before we knew about coronavirus, and Lisa had reported that there's issues with sunblock. You know, Hawaii, you can't even put it on. They don't want their ocean affected, infected, basically, with that shit, which I don't blame them. I mean, that's why I'm, like I said, I can't, the way that I operate, I can't dismiss what I see spiritually, because I often say, look at everything with your spiritual eyes. Listen with your ears, but literally your whole entire spiritual being, that get plenty of sun. So even during the winter, the sun still come out and you can soak it up. I'm gonna be out there in that sun even more so. And then, or you can take the supplements, but be aware that in any supplements that you take, give your time, sometimes this kind of like detox yourself from it. Because, like vitamin C, that's something you have to take on a continuous, but other types of vitamins you take, it'll store in the body. And if you take an excess, it will poison you. And I'll go without like a whole week taking my supplements and get on a real serious water regimen. That gives that body time to eliminate some of that stuff. So I just wanted to present that, my royal family, because I've been vastly concerned about coronavirus, and we need to continue to be responsible, encourage our families not to take chances. We know how the government gets down. We know, and we should not allow ourselves to be used basically as guinea pigs. It's going to be deep, the things that we are going to see, because they're ready to put this out on a mass scale, and the truth truly will be revealed. So, my royal family, render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.